Uruguay up against Argentina this weekend, folks. South American rivals going head-to-head for the first time in just under a decade. Should be a really interesting matchup. It is the kind of continuation of the theme Tier 1 against Tier 2 this weekend. So rather than 3-match series between the Tier 1 teams, we're seeing the likes of Portugal, Georgia, Fiji get games against the kind of Tri-Nations countries. And this Uruguay-Argentina game continues on that theme. We will go through the squads, some prediction stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Remembering Uruguay did get to play France in a midweek game just over a week ago. So they have played one kind of top-tier country in France, although France made a few changes from their side, which played Argentina as well. They did lose that game, but they had a pretty decent comeback from initially being like 17-0 down. And they do host Argentina, who they've never beaten before, despite numerous attempts. But the fact they haven't played in, as I said, close to 10 years should make this one a little bit special. They have made a few changes, the Uruguayans, compared to the team which played France just over a week ago. But where they haven't made any changes is the forward pack. The forwards are, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much unchanged. Sanguinetti, Kessler, and Piussi are the front row. Scrum time will be an interesting one for them because we're not really sure where the Argentinian scrum is at. It had two very mixed performances against France. If it's an area where they can get parity or even maybe a little bit of pay, it could be an interesting one for Uruguayans at home. The second row of Aliaga and Liendekar is the same, and then Ardao, Civetta, and Diana are there as the back row. Ardao is the guy who I remember from the Rugby World Cup as the guy to watch, especially at the breakdown. He was an absolute machine at pilfering ball. He's playing over in the MLR at the moment for the Miami Sharks, I believe. So good to see him, playing rugby as part of his job, because you're only going to get better if you're full-time, or at least mostly full-time employed as a rugby player. There are some changes in the back line, though. Santiago Álvarez, the 22-year-old, is getting the nod at number 9, ahead of Arata. I'm not sure if Arata was injured, unavailable, but he played against France. He's the kind of established guy I would have expected to see as a guy who doesn't get to see Uruguay play that often. But Álvarez gets the nod at 9. There is no Arata in the 23. And then Etcheverry is there at 10. So an experienced hand alongside the young number 9. Midfield is one change with Inciarte coming in at 13 from the bench. Andrés Vilaseca is still there at 12. He captains the side. And then there's some changes in the back three as well. Nicolás Freitas comes back in on the left wing. He is familiar because he played, I think, every game of Uruguay's Rugby World Cup campaign on the left wing. The 31-year-old, so he's a veteran. Alonso is there on the right wing, played on the bench for the Rugby World Cup. And then Álvarez gets the nod at 15, ahead of Amaja, who was another one of those kind of World Cup standouts. Amaja also not in the 23 for this one, so I haven't seen if there's been any injuries, but yeah, a few tinkerings in the back line. And two potential debutants on the bench with Suarez and Honto, the only two back replacements on the bench, and neither of them have caps. So you would be hoping, if you're an Uruguay fan, that the backline guys don't get any injuries early. Argentina have made quite a few changes from their team, which got up over France in their second game after a disappointing first game. They've gone back to Gajo and Bejo as the two starting props. Remember, that combination in the first game against France was really lacking punch at scrum time. So they will be looking to certainly improve on that performance. But that being said, both Gajo and Bejo scored tries against France in that last game. So there was a really stepped up performance level from Argentina in that second game. Ignacio Ruiz gets the start at number 2 with Montoya being out injured. So it's an unfamiliar hooking duo with Carles, also the guy on the bench for this one. So we're used to seeing basically Crevi and Montoya plus maybe one other guy in the squad. So to have no Montoya or Crevi is certainly a big change for an Argentina lineup. Molina was great in the second France game, so he continues on as a kind of third cap lock for this one. Rubiolo promoted from the bench, and then a potential debut. No, it will be a debut for Joaquim Moro in the number 6 jersey. He's playing his rugby locally in Argentina. His first cap for the Pumas and my first time to see him play, so good luck to him. Oviedo, who was really busy at number 8 for the last game, switches to number 7 with Mateo being on the bench, and Crema is going to captain the side from number 8. We see him play in the second row, we see him play on the flanks, but it's unusual to see Crema at number 8. We will see how he goes there. Bertrano and Albanoz is the 9-10 combo for this one. Albanoz has been in the Pumas squad and gotten caps a lot, but I think it's his first ever start at 10, so congratulations to him. Hopefully he can run the show, because he does it for Benetton week in, week out. See if he can do it at the Pumas level. De La Fuente is back in at 12, and Chocobates switches to 13 for this one. Ignacio Mendy is going to get his first cap of Contepomi's reign on the right wing. Mateo Carreras is still there on the left, and Santiago Correro is still there at fullback. Bench-wise, Vivas drops to the bench, and then this guy, Francisco Correa Marchetti, replaces Rugby over in the D2 in France, is a reserve tight head who will be getting his first cap. Alemano is still there on the bench. Mateo drops to the bench, and then 3 back replacements in Garcia, Santiago Carreras, and Matias Orlando. So, yeah, they need to put in a good shift. You would think the Argentinians against a local rival who is ranked significantly below them, 17th against 7th on the Rugby World Rankings, but you can bet Uruguay facing a tier 1 side and facing a local rival is going to be as fired up as one can be for a game like this. Stats-wise, Uruguay, as I mentioned, won a bunch of turnovers against France. I feel like the turnover count was like 6-1 or something crazy. They scored 4 tries, and as I mentioned, they were 17-0 down and actually managed a decent comeback. So they're another side who's just going to roll over if things go against them at the start. It'll be interesting to see if Argentina up for the boot in Game 1 against France. They did a lot of kicking. Game 2 was a little bit more direct, which seems to pay off. But then also their forwards were so much better in that second game. In the first one, they were very passive. They were on the back foot. Second game, big scrum, got 2 tries through. Gajo got 1 try through. Bejo got 1 try through a penalty try from scrum time. So the forwards were much, much improved. But the wings were quite quiet in the last game. Delgui and Carreras, Mateo Carreras didn't get a lot of opportunities out on the wings in that second game. So the wings will be hoping for a bit more ball. In this one, they'll be looking to maintain their 100% record against Uruguay. The Argentinians, if I'm not mistaken, the last game was 36-14 in Montevideo. We are still in Uruguay for this one. So it's an away game for the Pumas boys, but they're still big favorites. 26 points with the bookies and 28 points with the Rugby Forecast algorithm. I reckon it might be a bit closer than that, but we'll kind of have to wait and see. It's an afternoon kickoff over in Uruguay, 4 p.m., I believe. Luke Ramos, the Frenchman, is the referee for this one. Not sure if he speaks Spanish or if many of the players will be speaking French to him or English. That will also be an interesting facet of the game to watch. We probably need more Spanish-speaking referees, to be fair, with the likes of Chile in action this weekend as well. Spain were in action the other day against Tonga too, so yeah, it would probably be a useful asset to have. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on this one. Subscribe to the channel, because you must be a pretty hardcore rugby fan if you're watching Uruguay against Argentina videos, because yeah, these aren't the 2 kind of biggest draw teams for an English-speaking audience. But well done on you, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.